there everybody, welcome to Shiny Entertaining. Today's the big day, guys, the day that we've been waiting for. That all you people out there in YouTube land, and you've been chomping at the bit waiting for this day to come. The day of the reboot. I don't know if it was just me who was looking forward to this. Anyway, yeah, so it took a while to get this done. This is a lot more work than I expected it to be. I had to get some pieces for it because I wanted it to be done properly, alright? Just so you know, that's why it took a bit of time, and also with my computer going down and a bunch of other stuff. But finally it's time, right guys? It's here. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. Yeah, just so you guys all know, not all of your ideas that you sent me, you guys sent me a lot of great ideas. I'm not going to be able to use everybody's ideas on the first one. I have to save some for the other movies. So please guys, if you left an idea and I didn't use it yet, don't worry, I'm going to get to them. Because I have to save some for other installments, right? I'm going to use as many as I possibly could for the first one. And remember, some ideas conflicted with other ideas, so I had to find a way to make these things work, right? So this is us working together, right guys? So we know this isn't just Shane's ideas, this is everybody's ideas. And I just want you all to know I had a lot of fun making this. And I really appreciate all of your help. I really thank all of you guys for your participation in this. I love you so much! Anyway guys, enough of this intro nonsense. Without further ado, Shiny Entertaining's reboot of Star Wars Episode 7. Engage!
Now that's more like it. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, immediately following the deaths of Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine, yet just before the destruction of the latest Death Star, a clandestine revolution was taking place. Unbeknownst to the Empire, a rogue group of clone stormtroopers were about to stage a coup, led secretly by a falsely presumed dead bounty hunter by the name of Boba Fett, and funded by the Hutt's secret heirs and sons Sago and Rota Hutt, whom traitorously partnered with the Faleen Syndicate. This clandestine group of clone troopers were fed up with the way the Emperor had been running the galaxy and were on the verge of making a power move in an attempt to take over the Empire. However, this group was thwarted by the unexpected deaths of both Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine at the hands of the rebellion. Now, with the latest Death Star and Empire in peril, this group of troopers are preparing to abandon ship. However, not before they retrieve a valuable piece of technology from Palpatine's hidden cloning chamber. However, not only did they find the technology they sought, but they discovered something else within the chamber. Two creations so frightening that they could alter the balance of the Force and the galaxy as well. With time running out, this band of renegade troopers escaped, but could only bring one of the two creations. Along with the secrets to cloning technology, they fled just in the nick of time aboard Boba Fett's ship Slave 1. 4 years later.
That was a cool front crawl, huh? Like every Star Wars opens, you have to have, you know, a front, like a view of the ship just coming out. So we're gonna have the same thing, a view of a ship. And it's gonna be 3 of these, 3 destroyers. That's all that's remaining of the Empire. There's 3 destroyers. And this isn't really the Empire. We're still looking at, these are the Knights of Ren that are being controlled by Snoke at the helm. So the scene opens with multiple ships engaging battle. So I'm ready. I wrote all this down, guys, so bear with me, because this is not all in my head. Multiple ships engage in battle. 2 large Star Destroyers, relics of the old Empire, and a cluster of Faleen ships. One of the Faleen ships explodes and nearly takes down the other. So we'll pretend this is a Faleen ship and engage in a battle. This one explodes, hits this one. The camera slowly zooms into the bridge of the lead Star Destroyer, through the glass, and stopping into the face of a slightly younger looking Snoke. The camera zooms into this ship. Snoke, irritated. Watch where.
firing. I need that ship intact.
Standing beside Snoke is a young 4-year-old girl who saw the Faleen ship explode and had turned away at the sight of the floating bodies in space. Snoke.
Don't look away, child. You must learn to face death head on. You must embrace it. It is an inevitable fact of life.
Suddenly a voice chimes in. We've got them in our tractor beam, sir. The knights are preparing to board.
Excellent.
Now, aboard the Faleen ship that was just captured in the tractor beam, but not yet boarded, 2 of the Faleen, a man and a woman, are running through the ship's corridors, holding a young girl in their arms. We can't allow them to take her. The 2 place the crying child in one of the escape pods and set the coordinates to land safely on the main town in a planet called Jakku. They each board separate pods, figuring that 3 pods escaping would be harder to attack than just 1. The female expresses concerns for the child. Are you sure this is the best way? To where the male responds. My dear, I'm not sure of anything, but all I know is that we do stand a better chance if we separate now and then regroup later on the planet. They'll never stop looking for her, you know? Yes, I know. Now quickly, we need to leave now. The ship gets boarded by 3 dark figures in Kylo Ren style outfits. So these guys are the Knights of Ren, and they're dressed similar to this dude. So the ship gets boarded by 3 dark figures wearing Kylo Ren style outfits. But cooler, they use the Force to burst open the door. A barrage of blaster fire from an awaiting Faleen force covers the entire entrance in smoke and light. I'm picturing that scene in the beginning of the original Star Wars where Darth Vader opens and, you know, they fire and all you see is smoke and laser fire everywhere. When the smoke clears, the Faleen forces look in horror as they see all of their blaster fire suspended in midair. Like hundreds of them. I even wrote that. Like hundreds of them. Then, when unified wave, the lasers are pushed back to the Faleen forces and wiping most of them out. One of them says, with an almost robotic voice,
Bring us the girl.
Now we cut back to the escape pods that have just taken off and are now heading in 3 different directions. You know, like that. One of the Knights' communicator sounds, and the Knights are being alerted to the escapees taken off in the escape pods. They respond with a simple,
Catch them.
We were only able to catch 1 with our tractor beam, the radio in the voice says. Unfortunately, sir, the other 2 have gotten away.
Then send our fighters after them.
We can't, Sir Knight. Our resources are depleting due to the battle with the Faleen. Now, you gotta remember, guys, this is shortly after the fall of the Empire, so you haven't been able to amass a large force yet. So they have limited resources. So they wouldn't be able to, even though they're engaged in a battle, and they could handle themselves in that battle, they wouldn't be able to have extra or spare ships to just do whatever they want. So then the lead knight, without any emotion at all, simply says,
Search the rest of the ship. They may still be on board.
End of the scene. The camera then passes over the surface of Jakku to a destroyed escape pod with the Faleen woman laying unconscious or dead. It then travels to the other side of Jakku. So the camera's panning across the planet. So you're seeing from the bird's eye view where it sees the whole thing. So you know. Travels to the other side of Jakku, to the other escape pod where it had crash landed. A weird alien then opens it, and we don't see the face of the alien, you just see from the back. We know who it is because it's the Portions guy, right? The weird alien opens it and finds a young girl within. The girl slowly opens her eyes and asks, Where am I? Who am I? The crash seemed to have given the girl amnesia. As the crash landed, there was hardly any oxygen. She could barely breathe when she landed because of some malfunction. And if you want some backstory on that, I'll give you that. and with the impact of the crash, she lost her memories. So that's the reason she couldn't remember things. And she says she's also 4 years old. The Knights then shortly after land on Jakku, where they found the Faleen woman's pod, but the Faleen woman was not to be found. We're not showing if she's dead or not. Then they cut to the young girl's pod, but the girl inside that pod was gone. The Knights then proceeded to question the residents, but none of the residents had ever seen or heard of her. Knowing that she must be on that planet, The Knights then left a droid on the planet named EB3, a modified protocol droid like C-3PO, only colored black and far more ninjistic looking. Picture C-3PO with a ninja mask, and he's got some cool detachable weapons on his arms and things like that. So you can put like blades or like cannons and that kind of thing. Talking about selling toys, guys, you gotta make fun characters, right? And he makes Bruce Lee sounds when he fights. So he knows martial arts, and he goes, they programmed him to do that when he fights. His mission is to identify, capture, and hold the girl until the Knights return. Last we see of the girl, she is being sold to slavery in the droid fighting Coliseum. Now, guys, remember that. I told the whole story of Rey in that story. I'm gonna have to alter it a little bit to fit this story, just a tiny bit, maybe the age and stuff, but everything else still stands. So if you guys want to see Rey's story, go back to, I'm going to leave a link to it, so you can see if you want to see Rey's story and in the Coliseum and what happens and how she comes out. Alright, so now 5 years later, we're slowly building up like what happened after the Return of the Jedi, because I think we all kind of want to know how we got to the point where we did. And we're doing it in increments of 4 or 5 years. On Coruscant, the new capital of the reformed republic, an important council meeting was being held. Right, picturing the prequels and the same Coliseum. We're going to go back to that, right? We're going to Coruscant. I like going back and doing some of that nostalgic stuff. Led by now Prime Chancellor and Queen Organa. She holds 2 titles, man. It's great. The heads of the new republic unite to discuss the emerging threat starting to rise. And this is going to be Admiral Akbar talking.
The clone troop is becoming a growing concern, as multiple attempts to reach diplomatic ties with them has failed, and fears of a war between them is a growing concern.
Also on the docket we have reports of a new radical group of dogmatic knights of the old Jedi religion growing in both number and power.
As this is being discussed, the camera pans around the huge stadium, showing the multitude of alien species taking part in the conference. Among the attendees are Admiral Akbar, Lando Calrissian, a few Gungan leaders, the Ewok Wicket, and a variety of other familiar faces. We call this part appealing to fan nostalgia. Gotta have some of that, guys. And establishing the new galaxy. We now follow the camera out of the stadium entrance as murmurs of still them discussing, you know, the kind of thing. We're still hearing them discuss things. And as the camera's panning around the stadium sort of thing, finally in one single shot comes outside the main entrance lobby to the corridor where we see Han Solo, Chewbacca, and C-3PO leaning against the wall, listening to the conference. Chewie. Han then responds, I hate these meetings as much as you do. I know I should be in there, but sitting in a crowded stadium with a bunch of stuffy shirt bureaucrats discussing diplomatic solutions is just not my style. Give me a blaster and a target, and that's how I get things done. C-3PO then chimes in,
Mr. Solo, you can't solve all of life's problems with blaster fire, you know?
Well, I don't recall ever asking for your opinion.
No need for hostility, sir. I was merely trying to...
Well, I know of one problem I can handle with a blaster, and that's to shut you up.
Point taken, sir. Seems like things never change around here. Mr. Solo, by the way, where's Ben?
So now we cut to a school, also on Coruscant, where a 9-year-old Ben Solo is attending. We see him alone in the schoolyard, sitting, writing in his journal. Now, what we're going to see is another Easter egg here, guys, because I love throwing these little Easter eggs in here. So what you're going to see him writing is poetry. So you see this emo-looking, very dark, young 9-year-old Ben, and he's writing in a journal, and he's writing his ode to sand. So he's like this, it's a picture of an emo kid just sitting there writing an ode to why he hates sand. So we see alone in a schoolyard, sitting, writing in his journal his ode to sand, when a ball from a game that other students were playing in a field nearby. So it's like some space game that kids are playing with rocket packs, and they're just, you know, throwing like the ball far down, and even the ball has like a jetpack in it, so it's this fun, really cool picture football and soccer with hovering kids just doing flips and stuff. Not Harry Potter at all. It's not Quidditch. It's another spacey game. When the ball from that game that other students were playing lands on Ben's book, knocking it to the floor, a group of kids then come by taunting Ben, shouting at him mockingly to pass the ball.
Hey, lonely nerve herder, put down your book, you nerd, and pass us the ball! If you can!
You know how bully kids do? Ben then takes the ball in his hand in a grip of anger, and then throws it with ferocity towards the main bully boy. But the ball, before it gets to his hand, suspends in midair, and then just as the boy does this, Ben then releases the ball, again projects it forward, slamming the boy in the face, breaking his nose and bleeding. The other boys then charge after Ben in an all-out brawl. The teachers nearby blow whistles, come in, and try to break it up. The teacher then only gives Ben Solo the detention for initiating the fight. Solo then gets angry and starts throwing a tantrum. It takes several teachers to subdue him and hold him down. This isn't fair! This isn't their starting! We know! Just calm down! Next scene, after the conference, in their large penthouse tower home, we see Han Solo and Leia attempting to discipline Ben. However, an irate Ben isn't listening to any of it. He just keeps crying the same thing over and over, like a spoiled child.
This isn't fair! They started it! Why aren't they getting suspended? Why is it always me? This isn't fair at all!
Leia yells,
Go to your room!
Using the Force, she, with a wave of her hand, the door then blasts open with her hand. Now we're establishing the fact that Leia does have the Force. She's learned some things from Luke. So she throws it open.
Go to your room!
Leia says. Ben then, in a fit of blind rage, grabs the first thing he sees on the wall, which is that mounted headdress crown that Princess Amidala wore in The Phantom Menace. So it's like a family heirloom, and they have it sitting mounted on the wall. And Ben takes his, uses the Force and just whips it, and then throws it towards Leia. But it was stopped short of hitting her right in the face by another Force user. Luke Skywalker then enters the room, pulls off his cowl from his head, and says, "Did I come in a bad time?"
Hey, Luke.
Both Leia and Han say to him. Luke then says to Ben, as he then pulls the headdress to himself, "Hey Ben, you gotta be careful with this. This is a very important family heirloom." And he hovers it back to the wall where it belongs, with the Force. Loving the Easter eggs, guy. This used to belong to your grandmother. Ben then growls and mumbles to himself, goes, "Whatever," and he takes off for his room, slamming the door behind him. Zoom, with the Force. Leia asks Luke,
How come you weren't at the meeting?
Luke responds saying, "All that political stuff is just too stuffy for me." Han then chimes,
That's what I told her.
"Children. I'm surrounded by children." Then Chewie goes, Luke then proceeds to tell Leia about the school for Jedis he has started on Dagobah, and how he has learned of a young girl that has been turning some heads on a small planet of Jakku. He believes he senses a familiar power rising up out of this particular girl. So he's got his Force scopes out there looking for all kinds of Jedi or people with Force powers so that he can form his new Jedi school he's trying to create. Leia then convinces Luke to take on Ben as a pupil, seeing how none of his teachers can get through to the boy. Then in private she tells Luke, "I sense a lot of darkness in my son. I too have sensed this darkness." Luke then reassures Leia that he can be saved. "Listen, there's no need to worry. Look, I saw the goodness in my father, and I too had to battle the darkness within myself. So I know that it is possible for him to change. You just have to have faith and believe." Luke then agrees to take the boy into his custody and give him the proper care and train him in the ways of the Force. Ben and Luke say their goodbyes to Han and Leia. Ben, however, doesn't say his goodbye as he's still mopey in his mopey Ben sort of way, all upset. Leia goes in to kiss him and he turns his head, feeling betrayed almost, and abandoning him. That's how he's feeling inside.
Hey, buddy. Don't punch him in the shoulder. Don't worry. Luke will take good care of you.
Whatever. And again, he just gets on the ship without saying anything. Just gets on the ship. Almost like a big feud of those two. Take care of my boy, Luke. I'll do my best, Leia. He gets so. They go into the ship with C-3PO, who, up until that point, C-3PO had kind of been Mary Poppins, you know, Ben's nanny, so he's sort of been taking care of Ben, so he goes wherever Ben goes. And then there's a reunion with C-3PO, and... Oh, hello, R2. Long time no see. You're not going to ask me about my arm, are you? Because, you know, my arm is normal. So Ben and Luke now aboard the ship. He imparts some wisdom to Ben. Don't worry, Ben. They're not abandoning you. They love you. That's why they're sending you to me. They want to see you reach your true potential and reach heights that, you know, maybe you don't think is possible now. And he's like,
I don't care, they abandoned me. And I don't want to be a Jedi. The Jedi are weak.
the Jedi aren't weak.
They're all weak. Vader was the most strongest Jedi, and I want to be like him.
You don't want to be like Vader, and Vader eventually turned from the dark side to the light.
Yeah, and that's when he died. He was weak.
You're going to learn soon enough that that's not the case, Ben. I promise you that. So after that whole discussion, the kid just gets tired and falls asleep. Right? And just as he falls asleep, we see Obi-Wan Kenobi appear beside Luke as he's flying the ship. Surprising. Oh, hey, Ben. I'm not Ben Solo, Ben Kenobi. I sense a lot of your father in this boy. Luke then responds, I know. I sense it too. And Luke then asks, Ben, what is it about this girl that makes you so nervous? He's flying like a truck. What is it about this girl that makes you nervous? Ben states this girl is very dangerous. Her connection to the dark side is surprisingly strong. We can't let her fall into the hands of the knights at all costs. Next we cut to Jakku. We see Rey, whom had just escaped from her enslavement. Remember that whole, like I said, go back and watch that whole thing of her escaping with Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's the robot. Run, Rey! Run! You save yourself, don't worry about me. Remember, basically it was like a robot that was helping her escape from being enslaved. Part like Terminator, part human kind of thing. And he reminded me of Arnold Schwarzenegger, so I had his voice as Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's like, run, Rey! Run! Don't ever look back! So, after that brouhaha on Jakku, a lot of noise was being made and a lot of whispers of what went down, and rumors and stuff like that. So, she's not being as clandestine as she'd like to have been at that point. So, things have been spread around the galaxy. Next, we see a young Rey on Jakku, whom had just escaped from her enslavement thanks to her half-droid and friend, Arnold Bot. She was doing her new daily routine of survival. A lot of the Force Awakens stuff. Like when we show like the Force Awakens, but picture a 10-year-old girl, whatever she was, 7.